Do not be troubled. I am here.
Your soulmate is avoiding you for one powerful reason. Don't scroll, stay with me, because this message is not meant to confuse you or make you question your worth. It is meant to bring calm clarity to something that has been quietly weighing on your heart. Right now, it may feel like your soulmate is creating distance, avoiding deep conversations, responding slowly, or emotionally pulling back in ways that don't add up. You might be replaying moments in your head, wondering what changed, what you did wrong, or whether you mattered less than you thought. Listen to this carefully, because the real reason they are avoiding you is not because you are unimportant, replaceable, or forgotten. They are avoiding you because being close to you forces them to face something inside themselves they are not yet prepared to face. Your presence brings awareness. Your energy carries truth. And truth can feel overwhelming to someone who has been living in emotional avoidance. When they are near you, emotionally or energetically, they feel seen in a way that strips away excuses. They feel the gap between who they are right now and who they know they would need to be to truly meet you. That gap creates pressure. And when pressure rises, avoidance often feels safer than honesty. Stay with me, because this is not about you being too intense or demanding. It is about you being real. Your soulmate senses depth in you. They sense emotional clarity, expectation, and growth, even if you never said it out loud. They feel that closeness with you would require consistency, vulnerability, and presence. And right now, they may not trust themselves to offer that without falling short. So instead of stepping forward and risking exposure, they step back and call it space. Avoidance becomes a shield. It protects them from confronting their own fears, their own unreadiness, and their own lack of direction. Listen carefully, because your growth has changed the dynamic more than you realize. You are no longer chasing reassurance. You are no longer over-explaining your feelings. You are no longer trying to hold the connection together by yourself. That shift removed the emotional cushion they once relied on. Without that cushion, they feel the connection more honestly. And that honesty feels heavy to someone who is still uncertain within themselves. Don't scroll, because this avoidance is not indifference. Indifference is light and careless. This feels heavy because it matters. They think about you more than they show. They feel the pull, but they also feel the fear of not being able to meet you where you are now. So they hesitate. They delay. They create distance, hoping the pressure will fade. But distance does not erase truth. It amplifies it. Stay with me, because you may notice their avoidance comes in waves. Silence followed by moments of almost reaching out. Short interactions that feel meaningful but incomplete. That push and pull is not confusion about you. It is conflict within them. One part wants connection. Another part is afraid of what connection demands. This has nothing to do with your value and everything to do with their capacity right now. Listen to this deeply, because you are not meant to shrink yourself to make someone else feel comfortable avoiding growth. Love does not require you to dim your clarity so someone else can stay comfortable in confusion. The reason this hurts is because you can feel the connection is real, but unfinished. And unfinished things ache. But unfinished does not mean meant to be endured endlessly. Sometimes avoidance is life's way of pausing what cannot move forward yet. Don't scroll, because their distance is also protecting you. It is stopping you from investing deeper into a dynamic that would once again ask you to carry more than your share. It is preventing you from slipping back into old patterns of waiting, hoping, and emotionally overgiving. Even though it hurts, it is creating space for you to stay aligned with yourself. Stay with me, because here is the truth your heart needs to hear clearly. If your soulmate were fully ready, they would not need to avoid you. Readiness does not hide from connection. It moves toward it. Avoidance is not a lack of feeling. It is a lack of readiness. And readiness cannot be created by your patience alone. It requires their willingness. And that willingness cannot be forced, explained, or weighted into existence. Listen carefully, because the most powerful thing you can do right now is not to chase clarity from them. It is to remain steady in yourself. Let their actions speak. Let their distance show you where they are without trying to soften it or explain it away. You are not losing love. You are gaining truth. And truth, even when painful, is kinder than living in emotional limbo. Stay with me, because whatever happens next will come from this place of honesty. Either they will find the courage to step forward and meet you with clarity, or they will remain distant, revealing that they are not ready for the depth you offer. Either outcome brings relief eventually, because relief comes from no longer questioning your worth or guessing where you stand. Don't scroll past this final moment, because I want to say this gently and clearly: you are not being avoided because you are unlovable. You are being avoided because loving you requires presence, and presence requires courage. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Even a few words can help the heart release what it has been holding. And if these messages bring you clarity, comfort, or peace, like this video and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. These messages reach you exactly when you need them. Your soulmate is avoiding you for one powerful reason. Don't scroll, stay with me, because what is happening now is deeper than distance and more complex than silence. After the initial pullback, something inside your soulmate has continued to shift, and that shift is not random. Avoidance does not stay static. It evolves. At first, it is instinctive, almost unconscious. But over time, it becomes intentional because the feelings underneath it grow stronger. Your soulmate is not just avoiding conversation, they are avoiding a mirror. Being close to you reflects parts of themselves they have not yet integrated. Your presence highlights truth without accusation. It exposes patterns they have relied on to stay emotionally safe. When they feel that exposure, avoidance becomes a way to breathe again, even if it creates pain. Listen carefully, because this is not about you asking for too much. You are not overwhelming. You are clear. And clarity can feel threatening to someone who is still negotiating with their own fears. The more you stay grounded, the more they feel the contrast between your steadiness and their uncertainty. That contrast creates tension. Tension demands resolution. And when someone does not yet know how to resolve it, they step away from what triggers it. That is why their avoidance may feel inconsistent. One moment they seem close, thoughtful, almost ready. The next, they disappear again. This is not manipulation. It is internal conflict playing out in behavior. Part of them wants the connection. Another part is afraid of the responsibility that comes with it. Stay with me, because this stage often brings confusion for you. You may feel moments of hope followed by disappointment. Moments where their energy feels warm, followed by silence that feels cold. That inconsistency hurts because it keeps the connection emotionally alive without giving it direction. But understand this clearly: inconsistency is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their unreadiness. When someone avoids what matters, it is usually because it matters too much. Indifference does not hesitate. Indifference does not pull back and then look back. Avoidance does. Listen to this deeply, because your soulmate is now wrestling with something very specific. They are wrestling with the realization that staying distant is costing them something real. Distance protects them from vulnerability, but it also creates loss. They feel that loss quietly. In moments of stillness. In moments when they think of you and feel both comfort and fear. Comfort because the connection feels genuine. Fear because genuine connection asks for growth. That is the powerful reason behind their avoidance. Growth feels risky when someone is unsure of themselves. And instead of risking failure, they choose delay. Don't scroll, because you may be tempted to interpret their avoidance as rejection. That interpretation hurts deeply, but it is not accurate. Rejection is a decision. Avoidance is hesitation. Hesitation means something is unresolved, not absent. But unresolved does not mean sustainable. A connection cannot live forever in hesitation. Eventually, something must change. Either courage rises, or distance becomes permanent. Stay with me, because this is where your role becomes crucial, not through action, but through restraint. The more you chase clarity, the more you unintentionally relieve their pressure to grow. The more you explain, reassure, or wait without boundaries, the more you allow avoidance to remain comfortable. You are not responsible for teaching them courage. You are responsible for protecting your alignment. Alignment does not mean closing your heart. It means refusing to abandon yourself while someone else decides. Listen carefully, because your steadiness is already doing something powerful. It is forcing the truth to surface without confrontation. Your calm is removing emotional noise. Your self-respect is changing the rules of engagement. They can feel that. They may not say it, but they sense that you are no longer available for endless uncertainty. That realization intensifies their internal struggle. It makes avoidance harder to maintain. Stay with me, because you might notice that their avoidance now carries emotion. Not empty silence, but charged silence. Silence that feels heavy, thoughtful, almost regretful. That is not absence. That is processing. Processing can lead to clarity, or it can lead to retreat. Both are outcomes you deserve to know. What you do not deserve is endless ambiguity. Don't scroll, because this part matters for your healing. You are learning that love does not require you to wait in discomfort. Love does not require you to accept avoidance as a permanent condition. The powerful reason they are avoiding you is not something you can fix by loving harder. It is something only they can face by choosing growth. And until they do, distance is information, not punishment. Stay with me, because you are not being asked to give up. You are being asked to stay present with yourself. To notice how this dynamic makes you feel in your body. Drained or calm. anxious or steady. That awareness will guide you more honestly than any explanation they could give right now. Listen carefully, because whether they step forward or continue to avoid, you are moving toward clarity. And clarity is kinder than hope built on hesitation. If this message resonates with what you're experiencing, you're welcome to share a few words in the comments. Sometimes naming the truth helps the heart release confusion. And if these messages bring you understanding and peace, you can like this video and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. You deserve clarity, not avoidance, and peace will always meet you when you choose yourself. Don't scroll, stay with me, because now the reason behind their avoidance is moving from confusion into awareness, and this is where things become emotionally clearer, even if they feel heavier at first. What your soulmate is experiencing now is not the beginning of distance, but the weight of it. Avoidance always feels lighter in the beginning because it promises relief. Over time, it becomes heavy because it costs connection. They are starting to feel that cost. When they avoid you, they may feel temporary calm, but it does not last. In quiet moments, your presence returns to their thoughts. Not just your face or your voice, but the feeling of being truly seen. And that feeling is powerful. It is comforting and unsettling at the same time. Comforting because it feels real. Unsettling because it demands honesty. Listen carefully, because this is where their internal conflict deepens. They are no longer avoiding you only to escape pressure. They are avoiding you because they are afraid of what will be revealed if they don't. Being close to you would require them to acknowledge what they feel, what they want, and what they are not yet ready to give. That kind of acknowledgement changes a person. And not everyone is prepared to change when the truth becomes unavoidable. Don't scroll, because this is important for you to understand without self-blame. Your energy has not pushed them away. Your growth has made it impossible for them to stay comfortable in half-connection. You are no longer asking for crumbs. You are no longer filling silence to keep the bond alive. You are no longer explaining your worth. That shift removed the illusion that they could stay emotionally undecided without consequence. And when that illusion disappears, avoidance becomes the last place to hide. Stay with me, because you may feel the contradiction in their behavior more strongly now. They may check in unexpectedly. They may show concern from a distance. They may watch without approaching. This is not mixed signals meant to confuse you. It is fear trying to stay connected without being exposed. They want the feeling of you without the responsibility of meeting you fully. That is not because you are asking for too much. It is because you are asking for truth, even without words. Listen to this deeply, because your soulmate is beginning to sense that avoidance has an expiration date. Silence cannot protect them forever. Distance cannot hold the connection in a suspended state indefinitely. Eventually, avoidance forces a choice. And that choice feels frightening to someone who is still unsure of themselves. So they linger. They hesitate. They delay. But delay does not stop time. It only postpones clarity. Don't scroll, because you may notice that your own feelings are changing too. You still care, but the pain feels different now. It feels less sharp and more informative. You are no longer asking, "Why am I not enough?" You are starting to ask, "Is this dynamic aligned with who I am becoming?" That question marks a turning point. It means you are no longer centered on being chosen. You are centered on being respected, including by yourself. Stay with me, because this is where your steadiness becomes the most powerful influence, without you doing anything at all. You are no longer trying to pull them closer. You are no longer trying to create clarity through conversation alone. You are allowing their behavior to speak. And behavior is honest in ways words are not. Their avoidance is telling you where they are emotionally. Not where they could be someday, not where you hope they'll be, but where they are right now. Listen carefully, because this does not mean the connection was false. It means it reached a point where truth could no longer be postponed. Some connections awaken growth. Others reveal limits. Both have value, but only one can move forward. Don't scroll, because this is also where grief may quietly surface. Grief for what you hoped would happen by now. Grief for the version of the connection that lived in possibility. That grief is real, and it deserves compassion. But grief does not mean you should return to waiting in uncertainty. It means you are letting go of illusion while honoring what mattered. Stay with me, because your soulmate is feeling this threshold too. They feel that something is shifting. They sense that avoidance is no longer neutral. It is no longer a pause. It is becoming a statement. And that realization can feel scary, because it asks them to either step forward with courage or accept the loss that avoidance creates. Listen to this, because you are not responsible for making that decision easier for them. You are responsible for staying aligned with yourself. Alignment means not shrinking your needs to make someone else feel safe avoiding growth. It means allowing discomfort to exist without rushing to fix it. Growth often requires discomfort. Avoidance delays it, but it cannot stop it. Don't scroll, because this is where your power quietly returns to you. Not power over them, but power within yourself. You are no longer chasing answers. You are noticing patterns. You are no longer negotiating your worth. You are honoring your boundaries. That inner shift is what will determine how this unfolds, more than any message you could send. Stay with me, because whatever your soulmate chooses next will come from this place of heightened awareness. If they choose to step forward, it will be because avoidance became more painful than honesty. If they choose to remain distant, it will reveal that they are not ready for the depth you bring. Either outcome will free you from guessing. Listen carefully, because freedom from guessing is peace. Peace does not mean everything worked out the way you imagined. It means you are no longer at war with uncertainty. Don't scroll past this final moment, because I want to say this clearly and gently. You are not being avoided because you are hard to love. You are being avoided because loving you requires presence, courage, and emotional responsibility. If this message resonates with what you are experiencing, you can share a few words in the comments. Sometimes naming the truth helps the heart settle. And if these messages bring you clarity and calm, like this video and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. You deserve honesty, not avoidance, and peace will always meet you when you choose yourself. Don't scroll, stay with me, because what is unfolding now is the deepest layer of understanding, the part where avoidance stops being confusing and starts becoming clear. At this stage, the distance your soulmate has created is no longer accidental or unconscious. It has meaning. It carries intention, even if that intention is rooted in fear. They are aware now. Aware that avoiding you is not neutral. Aware that silence is not harmless. Aware that pulling away has consequences, not just for the connection, but for them internally. That awareness is heavy, and heaviness often makes people pause. Listen carefully, because your soulmate is beginning to feel the emotional cost of staying distant. Avoidance once gave them relief, a way to escape pressure, expectation, or self-examination. But now that relief has faded. What remains is the echo of what they are not facing. In quiet moments, they feel the absence of you more clearly. Not just your presence, but the sense of being understood, challenged, and emotionally mirrored. And that absence creates discomfort, not because you are gone, but because something meaningful is unresolved. Stay with me, because this is where avoidance starts to lose its power. When someone avoids long enough, they begin to realize that distance does not erase feeling. It concentrates it. Your soulmate may now feel waves of emotion they cannot easily categorize. Longing mixed with fear. Curiosity mixed with resistance. Regret mixed with self-protection. These emotions do not mean they are ready yet, but they do mean the connection is no longer dormant in their heart. It is active, even in silence. Listen to this deeply, because this is not about you waiting or hoping. This is about you understanding the truth of what is happening beneath the surface so you stop internalizing their behavior as a reflection of your worth. Don't scroll, because this is where your own transformation matters most. You are no longer chasing their clarity. You are no longer trying to decode every pause. You are no longer filling silence to feel secure. You are observing. You are grounded. And that grounded energy changes everything. When you stop participating in emotional imbalance, imbalance becomes obvious to the other person. Your soulmate can feel that you are no longer available for half-presence. That realization adds pressure, because it removes the option of staying emotionally undefined forever. Stay with me, because your soulmate may now be facing an internal reckoning. They are asking themselves questions they avoided before. Questions like whether they are capable of the depth this connection requires. Whether they are willing to grow into the version of themselves that could meet you fully. Whether staying distant is actually protecting them, or slowly costing them something irreplaceable. These questions do not have easy answers. And when answers are unclear, people often stall. That stall can look like continued avoidance, but internally, things are moving. Listen carefully, because this stage often brings emotional contradictions in behavior. They may seem softer at times, more reflective, more aware. Then suddenly distant again. This is not regression. It is processing. Growth is rarely linear, especially for someone who has relied on avoidance as a coping mechanism. But notice this. You are no longer being pulled into that cycle. You are not riding the emotional highs and lows with them anymore. You are steady. And steadiness creates contrast that cannot be ignored. Don't scroll, because this is also where truth begins to crystallize for you. You are starting to see that love cannot be sustained by potential alone. Feeling is not enough without presence. Connection is not enough without consistency. Avoidance, no matter how understandable, still creates distance. And distance, when prolonged, becomes a decision, even if unspoken. This realization does not harden your heart. It clarifies it. Stay with me, because you may feel a quiet grief emerging now. Not sharp pain, but a soft sadness for what you hoped would unfold by this point. That grief is not weakness. It is honesty. It means you are letting go of fantasy and meeting reality with maturity. You are allowing yourself to feel without clinging. That is emotional strength. Listen to this, because your soulmate is sensing this shift in you as well. They can feel that you are no longer suspended in waiting. They can feel that your energy has moved inward, becoming self-contained. That self-containment can feel intimidating to someone who is used to emotional access without accountability. It signals that time is no longer endless. That something will eventually have to be faced. Don't scroll, because this is where avoidance reaches its limit. It cannot stay comfortable forever. It either collapses into honesty or hardens into permanent distance. That choice does not belong to you. And for the first time, you truly understand that. You are not trying to control the outcome anymore. You are letting it reveal itself. Stay with me, because this stage is about reclaiming your power without confrontation. Power does not always speak loudly. Sometimes it simply stops explaining. Stops chasing. Stops negotiating. You are choosing peace over ambiguity. And peace always demands truth, even when truth changes the shape of the story. Listen carefully, because whatever happens next will not come out of confusion. It will come out of clarity that has been slowly forming on both sides. If your soulmate steps forward, it will be because avoidance became more painful than vulnerability. If they remain distant, it will be because they chose safety over growth. Either way, you will no longer be guessing. Don't scroll, because this is the quiet turning point. Not a dramatic ending, but an honest one. You are no longer measuring your value by someone else's readiness. You are no longer waiting to be chosen to feel whole. You are whole now. And from wholeness, only aligned connections can remain. Stay with me as this continues to unfold, because you are moving out of emotional confusion and into self-respect. Avoidance may still exist, but it no longer defines you. It no longer controls you. And that is how you know this chapter is reaching its truth, whether it closes or transforms. Don't scroll, stay with me, because this is the stage where everything becomes quieter on the outside and clearer on the inside. The avoidance that once felt confusing now feels defined. Not resolved, but understood. You are no longer asking yourself endless questions about what their silence means, because your body already knows. The ache has changed shape. It no longer feels like panic. It feels like awareness settling in. Listen carefully, because your soulmate is now living with the weight of their own avoidance in a different way. What once felt like protection now feels like distance they created themselves. Avoidance always promises safety at first, but over time it turns into isolation. They are starting to notice that by stepping away from you, they also stepped away from a part of themselves that felt alive, challenged, and emotionally honest. Stay with me, because this is where their internal dialogue grows louder. They may be telling themselves stories to justify the distance. Stories about timing, confusion, or needing space. But beneath those explanations is a quieter truth forming. The truth is that being close to you would require courage they have not yet claimed. And avoiding you has delayed that reckoning, not solved it. Don't scroll, because this is also where your own emotional center stabilizes fully. You are no longer waiting for them to change so you can feel at peace. Peace has arrived first. That is new for you. You may notice that even when you think about them, your nervous system stays calm. The thoughts no longer spiral. The fear no longer hijacks your imagination. That calm is not numbness. It is self-trust. Listen to this, because your soulmate can feel that shift energetically. They sense that you are no longer available in the same way. Not because you closed your heart, but because you closed the door to emotional imbalance. They can feel that your presence now requires presence in return. And that realization can feel intimidating to someone who is still unsure of themselves. Stay with me, because this stage often brings moments where they consider reaching out, but stop themselves. Not out of lack of feeling, but out of fear of what a conversation would reveal. Talking to you now would mean acknowledging the avoidance. It would mean explaining. It would mean choosing direction. And direction feels risky when someone is afraid of choosing wrong. Don't scroll, because here is something important for you to hear clearly. Their hesitation is not a reflection of your value. It is a reflection of their fear of growth. Growth asks people to let go of who they were. And not everyone is ready to release familiar patterns, even when those patterns hurt. Listen carefully, because this is also where you stop romanticizing struggle. You begin to see that connection should not require you to endure prolonged uncertainty. You begin to recognize that longing without movement eventually turns into depletion. This realization does not make you bitter. It makes you honest. Stay with me, because honesty changes how you remember the connection. You no longer see only the potential. You see the pattern. You see the effort imbalance. You see how much emotional labor you carried. That clarity does not erase love. It contextualizes it. And context brings peace. Don't scroll, because your soulmate is now facing a choice that avoidance can no longer postpone. Either they grow toward the connection with presence and accountability, or they remain where they are and accept the loss that distance creates. That choice is forming slowly, but it is forming. Silence does not stop time. It only stretches it. Listen to this deeply, because you are no longer responsible for holding space for that decision. You have already held enough. You are allowed to rest now. You are allowed to live your life without pausing it for someone else's readiness. That permission you are giving yourself is powerful. Stay with me, because you may notice that your standards have quietly risen. Not out of pride, but out of self-respect. You are no longer impressed by almost. You are no longer soothed by words without action. You are no longer willing to reinterpret avoidance into affection. This is growth. Don't scroll, because this is also where grief transforms. Earlier, grief felt like loss. Now, it feels like release. You are letting go of the version of the story where love required you to wait indefinitely. You are letting go of the hope that hurt more than it healed. That release creates space for something healthier to enter your life. Listen carefully, because your soulmate may feel this release too. They may sense that something has shifted permanently. That you are no longer anchored to the connection in the same way. That realization can stir regret, fear, or urgency. But remember this: urgency that arrives only when someone feels loss is not the same as readiness. Stay with me, because whatever happens next will be shaped by this truth. If they step forward now, it will be with awareness of what they almost lost. If they do not, it will confirm that avoidance was stronger than courage. Either way, the guessing ends. Don't scroll, because the end of guessing is the beginning of peace. Peace does not mean everything worked out how you wanted. It means you are no longer negotiating your worth with silence. It means you trust what you feel. It means you are choosing alignment over attachment. Listen to this, because you are stepping into a different chapter now. One where connection feels mutual, not heavy. One where communication feels clear, not confusing. One where love does not ask you to disappear into waiting. This chapter may include your soulmate, or it may not. But it will include you fully. Stay with me, because this is the quiet strength you have earned. You stayed open without abandoning yourself. You loved without forcing. You waited without losing dignity. Now you are ready for truth in whatever form it arrives. Don't scroll past this moment. Avoidance no longer defines the connection. It no longer defines you. Clarity does.